I said before, my name is Vince Cala. My folks came from the old country. My father came from Sicily in 1920 when he got out of World War I. He served in the Italian army during World War I, and when he got out, there wasn't much for him to go home to, so he came to America. My mother came from Calabria with her family. The families immigrated, and single fellas immigrated. Well, it just so happened my grandfather, my mother's father, sired a bunch of daughters, and he made wives for all these young immigrant boys that came here, and my mother was one of them. And coming off of the ranch, she was a perfect for the home life of a farm lady. She was a farm wife. She loved the life on the ranch, and we had chickens. We lived just like they would have in the old country. We had chickens, garden. The manure from the chickens went to take care of the garden. The heads of lettuce and the corn and the different types of vegetables that grew fantastic. We had plenty of water. Wine, my father made wine. And if he had too much, he would sell it. In those days, I think it was 50, and it was legal, 50 cents a gallon if you brought your own gallon. Okay. I wasn't born on the old San Francisco Road, but in 1932, more towards Dawson's Corner, going north on the right side of the street, my father acquired 10 acres of land in 1929 before the Depression. And there was no house, there was nothing on the property, it was just an orchard. And when the Depression got bad, where he worked, he had to move to the property, and he built, at the best he could do at that time, he built a house on the property. And he built, at that time, a 5-room house with a full basement and a big garage for $2,500. Today you can't buy a door. Okay. Though my father got into agriculture, to supplement his income, he started a little winery over here in the old road. And at one time we had 10,000 gallons of wine that he had made, and between what he made and others, that varieties he bought, we had a little winery and people would come and buy. But he didn't continue. It lasted till about 1941, and he quit. It wasn't exactly, he got more interested in agriculture, in fruit farming, and then he got out of the wine business. Besides, you used to get a lot of people that came around that were half boozed, and that wasn't exactly, it's a little different today when you go to a wine tasting room, a little different. Yeah, a lot of people wonder why the orchards disappeared through the years. Well, there was a couple of reasons. One, when the early settlers came here and decided to plant orchards, they pulled out the oak trees that were here to make room for the orchards. And when they did that, I think there was an omen from God, if you want to be theological about it. But what happened was the trees got even, the oak trees. They start to spread the oak root fungus. It didn't stop at the fall of the tree where the leaves, where the limbs end, the roots are supposed to end. It kept spreading. And every orchard that had a tree that they pulled out, you'd see a big circle of trees missing. We had it in our own orchard. And it kept spreading constantly. But wherever the oak tree, wherever the oak tree was left, the trees prospered. A good example is at the Cala Center, there's an oak tree in the middle of the center. And the trees around that oak tree, prospered, didn't die. And it even speaks well for the center. That does well too. And then there was another disease that hit apricots, and I don't know, there's a name for it, a biological name, but we called it dieback. And the trees began to die, and we start to, on the apricots especially, and beautiful trees, the limbs would start to die back. This is a disease that came from Australia, and what I heard, and the limbs would begin to die. We were doing a lot of cutting, and eventually it was going to go. Between the old root fungus and the dieback on the apricots, it had to happen. Eventually, it had to happen. I hate to say that was the best thing that happened, because then the industry changes from the Valley of Heart's Delight. It went to Silicon Valley, but that had to happen. Maybe it's just the way things had to be. Yeah, we would even attempt to plant. We would replant in an oak root fungus area, and we would buy trees that were supposed to be the rootstock was oak root fungus resistant, and the tree was grafted. So when we planted them, we made sure the graft was out of the ground. The tree grew, but just as soon as a little bit of that dirt touched that graft, fungus. The tree right away immediately made mushrooms. That's how ferocious that fungus was. You know, and then you just, you know, you lost out. You can only fight so much. God got even. If you want to be theological about it. Let me see.